call to order the organizational meeting for Lethbridge County at 9:30 a.m. on October 28th. And we will start the meeting with the oath of office, and we'll be doing that by division. And we'll have the councillors come up to the table here and sign the oath of office. Okay. Did I do that right? Cheered. Okay. And we'll start with Division 1, Lauren Hickey.
Which desk? Down there?
Just right here at the front.
And Lauren, take your mask off when you're doing the dictation.
We will now go down to item C and nomination and voting by secret ballot for the position of Reeve. Larry will be handing out, is that Larry? Or Candace is handing out? Okay. Oh, to the oath of office? No. Oh. Oh, that count, oh, sorry, Larry. That council, resolution put forward that council utilize the voting procedures of secret ballots where there is more than one of the required number of nominees for the office of Reeve, Deputy Reeve, and committees. So can I have a mover? Mark? Okay, seconder?
So, just a question.
Yep.
We voted on either way for deputy Reeve too?
We have to have that discussion once we have a Reeve in place, and when the Reeve chairs the meeting, then we'll have that discussion. Seconder? Klaus? All in favor? Okay.
Ballots, and may I suggest that council members just fold it once in half, once they've completed the nomination, so that it's, good.
You what? Keep notes on your computer? Oh, okay, here. I always have an extra. Okay. When you're completed, you can, I guess, put them up out here, Larry? Is that good? Yep. What? Oh, I have to do these two? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. We also have to make a resolution that all the ballots are destroyed at the end of the meeting. Could I have a mover? Morris? Seconder? John? All in favor? Carried. Appointment of scrutineers, that council appoint who they choose as scrutineers. We do have Larry and Candace here who are available. Yes? No, not Candace? Okay. Yep. Go ahead. Oh, Jen. Okay, yep. Larry and Jen. Tori? So moved. Seconder? Klaus, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Got it all there? Good. Larry keeps me in line legislatively. Yep.
One up there. Okay, thank you. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Thank you.
I guess I don't need this anymore. Too late now. That ship sailed.
Well, what did it say?
Thank you. So we will move on to ballots. Is that correct, Larry? Can you walk us through that, how it's going to work?
Yeah, maybe one suggestion would be to ensure that both nominees accept that nomination.
Okay. Do you accept the nomination? Lauren Hickey and Tori, you accept the nomination? Yes. We need a motion?
And then, Madam Chairman and Council will do essentially the same procedure again, same type of ballot. If everyone asks them to fold it face in once, just in the center.
Okay.
So we'll tally
Okay, thank you. For the Reeve, Tori Campbell with 4 votes and Lauren Hickey with 2 votes. So congratulations, Tori. You've been elected Reeve, and I will happily pass the chair back to you.
I, Tori Campbell, do swear that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute according to law the office of Reeve for the Lethbridge County. So help me God.
So, just to start, I did have, in anticipation that Lauren and I were given the opportunity to speak prior to the vote, I did prepare some words, but seeing that we did not, I won't bore you with those. I guess, first off, I'd like to thank you all. Thank you for your support. Secondly, obviously, thank you to Lauren. I don't really know the words. Obviously, a lot of years, a lot of commitment, dedication, and a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, tears put into this organization. So thank you for that. And I look forward to working with you moving forward, and I look forward to working with the rest of council for the next 4 years. We have a very large and real opportunity in front of us. Obviously not short on challenges. I think for those of us that have been here, we full well know what we're getting ourselves into. For the new council members, I'm excited. I'm really excited to work with you. Excited to get you up to speed. And let's hit the ground running. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm honored. I'm humbled. And I will put my best foot forward to do what I can to make sure that we are successful in not only in this 1-year term as Reeve, but moving forward. And with that, why don't we'll keep going. You don't need to hear me talk anymore.
Reeve Campbell, which is going to sound strange, but if for the new members of council, I would just kind of like to introduce the leadership team, if you wouldn't mind. So you've met me already. I'm Ann Mitchell, the Chief Administrative Officer, and we'll start at the left.
I'm Devin Teely. I'm the Infrastructure Manager.
Jeremy Wixon, Director of Public Operations.
Jennifer Place, Manager of Finance and Administration.
Larry Randall, Director of Community Services.
And rounding out the senior leadership team is Doug Burke. He's the Manager of IT, but he's not in the council chambers today. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I think as you've probably all noticed, there is that mic in front of you. We do obviously live stream our meetings. So when you are speaking, please make sure you push that button and that green light glows. Get close to that mic so with the mask and everything that they are able to hear us. Yeah. So next on our agenda for this morning, item E, election of Deputy Reeve for ensuing year and oath of office. And how would you like to proceed with this? I know internally we have had some discussions as council as how we'd like to proceed. How would you like to proceed with this currently?
With the appointment for the internal committees?
Deputy Reeve.
Oh, Deputy Reeve. Well, there was some questions. We've had it in the past where we had the Deputy Reeve as a permanent position, and we've also had it in a rotating position, and that's how we did it for the past 2 years. However, it's at council's discretion, and the section of the procedural bylaw that I did send you, it's up to council how you would like to see that. So I would suggest that somebody puts a motion forward on, is the Deputy Reeve position for the term of a year similar to the Reeve, or would you like to see it in a rotating position? And once we vote on that, then we can vote on the next steps.
Thank you. Having heard that, I open it up to discussion. What is the feelings of council? Morris?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to see that we go back to a permanent position again for Deputy Reeve. That's all I have to say. Rotating Reeve, I didn't care for it. And it seems to be, to me, if you have a Deputy Reeve when the Reeve itself cannot be down there, it's more, seems to work better if you have a permanent Reeve. Because we had it a couple times, well, who's the Reeve now, or who's the Deputy Reeve now? And it was confusing, so I would like to go ahead again.
Thank you, Morris. Any other thoughts? Klaus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo that what Morris said. I agree with that because I think that, you're better kept in the loop if you're in contact with the Reeve a little bit more. And for a lot of other positions too that the Reeve goes to, and that the Reeve can also, lighten the load a little bit, and then working with the same person is probably a better idea than that you're every time you have somebody else there.
Thank you, Klaus. The rest of council. Mark, John, Lauren, any thoughts?
I think it's a good idea to have a permanent Deputy Reeve just in the event that something does happen to the Reeve and you're in the middle of something that if the position's permanent, then that person is up to speed and is ready to roll and step in at any time. So it makes logical sense to me to go that route.
Thank you, Mark. John?
I would concur. I think that it's important to have a continuity of information so that we have it set for a period of time, and we know that this is the go-to people and the second in charge. So,
Thank you. Lauren?
Well, I had thought about it a lot, and in the past, I know it didn't work that well. It is nice to have one person, and I know several people who had it before didn't want to do it anyways, so yeah, it's not the greatest to do it that way. The only other way I might suggest is if there was two people who were interested, you could have a split term. But yeah, it's better to have some continuity.
Thank you. Having been on council the previous term and obviously seeing both models, I would probably have to concur with most of the speakers that I too would lean towards a permanent person in that role. Thank you for the discussion. Having heard all that, sorry, Larry, would you like to go ahead?
Mr. Chairman, maybe you were going to capture this in your next statement, but I'll just point out that in the procedural bylaw, it states that the position of Deputy Reeve will be on a rotational basis unless otherwise specified. My recommendation to council is that a motion be made then to otherwise specify that it'll go back to a one-year term for this next 1 year.
Thank you, Larry. Yes. In that vein, would anyone care to make that motion? Thank you, Morris. So you'll make that motion, Morris? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll like to make that motion.
Okay, thank you. So then we have a motion on the table to return, I guess, to having the position of Reeve on a one-year basis held by one individual for that one-year term to follow at the next org meeting. Would that satisfactory? Sorry, Deputy Reeve. Okay. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. So then, Larry, I think we can proceed then?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like that, I think we sort of planned or anticipated that we would go through a similar process as we did, or identical process really, for the nomination and election of the region, whereby we have a nomination ballot, follow up, and then as appropriate, hand out the election ballot.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are two nominees for the position of Deputy Reeve. Those names are Klaus Vanderveen and Lauren Hickey.
Thank you, Larry. Having heard that, then I guess we will proceed to an election for the position of Deputy Reeve with those two candidates.
Maybe, Mr. Chairman, a recommendation just to confirm with both candidates that they are willing to accept the nomination.
Thank you. Claus, do you accept the nomination for Deputy Reeve?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Lauren, do you accept the nomination for Deputy Reeve?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. The voting results for the position of Deputy Reeve. Claus Vanderveen, 4 votes. Lauren Hickey, 2 votes. So seeing that, Claus Vanderveen, you have been voted as the Deputy Reeve. Larry, in looking at through the agenda here, I see towards the bottom after the committees, there's a resolution to confirm the results of the council committee appointments. In the past, I believe have we made resolutions as well to appoint the Reeve and deputy?
Excellent, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I was just thinking that as we finish the vote for the Deputy Reeve, we should do that in both cases because the election and appointment to the positions of Reeve and Deputy Reeve, it's a 2-step process. One is the election, which isn't a resolution per se, but rather a vote and an election process. And then to affirm and confirm that result, that's where the resolution is needed. So yes, you're exactly correct there. My oversight. Pardon.
Thank you, Larry. So then first, why don't we go back to the position of Reeve, and I would entertain a motion to confirm the results of the election of the Reeve. Would that suffice, Larry?
Yes.
And to appoint Tori Campbell to that role?
Just to appoint.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Is there anyone willing to make that motion? Thank you, Mark. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. And if we could have a similar for the position of Deputy Reeve. Would someone be willing to make that motion? Thank you, John. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you.
I I, Claude Vanderveen, do swear that I diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability execute, according to the law, the office of Deputy Reeve for Lethbridge County, Sir Alvin County.
At this time, I'm just going to call for a 5-minute recess. I just need to grab my bearings quick, if that's all right, and we will reconvene in 5 with the appointment of Oh, jeez. We'll call the meeting back to order at 10:14, and let's proceed. We're on to item G, representative for external committees. I do have the outline that was supplied to council, and maybe I'll just briefly, as we go through, I'll kind of maybe outline the committees. And when we get to the point where if you would like to let your name stand for the committee. Sorry?
Just a point of order.
Yep.
You said G, which is the external committees, whereas we should be on F, the internal committees. Just before you get too far ahead.
Thank you. Why don't we do that? F, appointment of internal committees. Okay. Sorry. As I was saying, if you would like to let your name stand for a particular committee, we will give you the floor and let you have a moment to advise us on why you would like to be on that particular committee. So first of all, on the internal committees list, we have number 1 is the Agricultural Service Board and Chairman. This is obviously all members of council plus 1 member as chairman. The purpose of the ASB committee is to advise and assist county council on matters that relate to agriculture-related activities and regulatory service issues. The committee has a responsibility to provide administration with direction on development of policies and bylaws. Would administration like to add anything further to that, or is that sufficient?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really don't have much to add as far as the ASB portion. Obviously, we have 2 committee meetings per year. Typically, we have one in the spring and one in the fall. So April and September. There is a appeal board associated with this. We have 4 members at large that are part of that appeal board committee, which is outside of council. Those are four external members. The ASB is obviously, we are in a very heavy agricultural area with a combination of irrigation, dryland farming, as well as all the intensive livestock operations we have, dairy being another large portion of this area. So the contribution by the Ag Service Board is very important to the municipality as a whole.
Thank you, Jeremy. So in this case, we will be looking to appoint a chairman for the Ag Service Board. Previous chair was Steve Campbell, so we will obviously be looking to fill that vacancy. So at this time, I would ask, is there anyone willing to let their name stand for chair of the Agricultural Service Board? Please, not all at once. Claus? So then I guess, is there anyone else interested in chairing the Agricultural Service Board? Seeing none, Larry, I would ask for how to proceed here. Should we vote on these individually or capture them all at the end?
Mr. Chairman, I think the plan, at least for the external committees, because there are so many, if council comes to consensus as to which members of council are on those committees, one resolution will capture it all, save us going through 25 or more resolutions individually. For the internal committees, I know on the council agenda that you see before you, it does say voting required for each committee, but I think that's optional. You know, if council prefers to go through, do the 4 and do one motion to capture them all, you know, in my view, that would also be acceptable. So council's choice.
Thank you, Larry. Having heard that, I would, sorry, Jeremy?
Just one just one little piece for the ASB portion. The chairman is one position, but there is also, we need to have 2 voting delegates, essentially on behalf of the Ag Service Board for the.
And we'll capture that under the next portion, is that
Yep.
agreeable?
As long as we make sure that we
'Kay.
nominate the 2 people
'Kay.
that are gonna be those voting members.
Okay, so we'll deal with the chair for now, and then when we get to the external committees, we'll deal with that. Okay, if council is comfortable with that, we will put Claus's name in there for now. And as Larry had suggested, we will we'll capture these in one motion for the internal committees once we have moved down to the remaining 3. So moving down next, we have the Audit Committee, 3 members. The Audit Committee's role is to assist council in the provision of effective municipal government by overseeing the systems regarding financial accounting, reporting, internal controls, safeguarding of corporate assets, compliance with legal, ethical, and regulatory requirements, and the efficient and effective use of resources. The Audit Committee provides a focal point for communication between council and the external auditor. We had, sorry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to add that we do have 3 members listed, but historically, one of those members was always the Reeve
'Kay.
as a representative.
Okay, thank you. So previously on the Audit Committee, we had Lauren, Ken Benson, and myself. I would be willing to, as Jen alluded to, I would let my name stand for that committee and stay on the Audit Committee. Lauren, do you have interest in staying on the Audit Committee?
Yeah, I would be willing to stay on.
Okay. Is there anyone else who is interested in joining the Audit Committee? We would need 1 additional member then. John? Thank you. Okay, we'll move down to the next one, Emergency Advisory Committee. The purpose of the Emergency Advisory Committee is to advise and assist County Council on matters that relate to emergency management. The Emergency Advisory Committee is mandated by the legislation. This only covers emergency management, not fire provision. I think that was that has been driven home over the last few months here. Just that last line there, not fire provision. So previously, it was myself, Steve Campbell, and Ken Benson on the Emergency Advisory Committee. I guess probably we should have had a discussion earlier. I know we talked amongst council about this, how we proceed regarding the empty chair at the table. We probably should have covered that, I suppose. I apologize.
Just for clarification's sake too, there is, coming up at the regular meeting of council, there will be a report coming forward about setting a date, because we've received word from the Minister of Municipal Affairs that we must have a by-election before April. So if council approves the report at the regular meeting, the earliest date we can have an election is the 13th of December. So there's that option, but there also is the challenge that that chair may not be filled. So just so council's aware of those varying options. So when you're thinking about either appointing somebody to a committee, we may get someone for Division 5 or we may not. So that's something to take into consideration. The other option is too that you could fill it temporarily and we could revisit it if and when we got somebody for Division 5.
Thank you, CAO Mitchell. At this time, I think maybe we should have that conversation, and I would open the floor up on how we proceed in that regard. Does anyone have? I know we've all had discussions, maybe one-on-one, but we should have a more fulsome discussion here. Claus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that we should fill all the positions that we have, and because we never know if we're going to get somebody from Division 5, and if we do get somebody in from the Division 5 in the by-election, then I think then we can revisit it and then share some of the committee with this person.
And just for the new members too as well, in 2018 we did a review of all the committees as well too, but these committees always have to be looked at to see if they're relevant and if council continuing to sit on them is needed or not. Specifically, like if we look at something like Southgrow, they're now increasing their wages or their fees double. So these committees are always more or less being evaluated, so that's something to consider as well.
John?
Just a question generally, and maybe Ann, you can answer this. In terms of reorganization, this is something that, as a council, we could have another reorganizational meeting after, if and when we have a representative for Division 5? Yeah.
Yes, we can. We
Yeah,
can
therefore,
revisit
I would
this.
concur with Klaus. I think it's important to make sure that the committees are well represented until that position is filled, and then at that point, have a reorganizational meeting to redistribute the share of the workload.
Thank you, John. Anything further?
Sounds good to me.
If that's satisfactory, then I would concur. Why don't we proceed accordingly, and we will fill the vacancies that are in front of us. And sorry, John. Yeah.
Sorry, do we need to make a motion to do that?
No, because we're just looking if Division 5 wasn't here, but we don't need to make a motion for that. We're just appointing to committees.
Okay. If administration is comfortable with that, then we'll proceed accordingly. Thank you. Sorry about that. We should have touched on that sooner. Okay. Back to the Emergency Advisory Committee. Is there interest from the members in that regard? Who would like to put their name forward for the Emergency Advisory Committee? Mark? Would anyone else? Morris? You'd like to?
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay. I was on this. It was early on in my first year on council. We were used quite regularly. We were utilized. Obviously, there was some administrative changes that happened, and the elimination of a position internally did change our role. I would suggest we were definitely less utilized as the term went on, and I think obviously, as Ann has alluded to, our focus definitely was more drawn to the emergency management portion, and also there have been staff changes in that regard where that service is contracted out now to the town of Coledale. So a valuable committee nonetheless. I did enjoy my time on it, but if there is someone else willing, I would definitely entertain that as well.
Just a
Morris?
comment there. Honorable Reeve, but the Reeve automatically can sit them all of them, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So is there I have Mark and Morris thus far. Would anyone else like to sit on the Emergency Advisory Committee? Claus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to see the Reeve on there to have some continuity that we had before, and I think that that way we can make this. I mean, every year we're talking about this, so we can always change those things.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, I was there previously, so I don't have a problem continuing. So we will go with Mark, Morris, and myself for that. And then moving down to the next one, the Labor Relations Committee. The Labor Relations Committee is responsible for formulating a committee decision on the negotiations with the union. Anne, I believe you'd like to speak to this.
Yes, this committee has been in place for quite some time. The way the labor relations work, it's usually something that's done administratively and brought back for all of council to ratify. So this committee, we did look at it in 2018, we kept it, but it's my feeling that that's an administrative role to bring the ratified contract to council. So I would like to bring a further report back to council on this committee in November to look at it, but it's up to council if they'd rather just appoint or wait for the report.
Thank you. How would council like to proceed? Mark?
I think it'd be prudent to wait. When I first saw that, my concern, like my red flags popped, my governance red flags jumped all over the place. to me, we're a governance council, we're not an operational, and seems to me like we're jumping both feet into the operational side of the organization, which isn't proper, so to me, I'd like to wait and see what the report is before we.
Any further comments? How would you like to proceed, Anne? Would you like to see a motion here to
Direction to staff to bring a report, actually a motion, because this is a committee right now, a motion saying that we are tabling this until the end of November, when we can bring a report forward to council.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion in that vein. Mark? Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried? Thank you. At this time, then, I would ask for a motion to confirm the appointees to the internal committees. And I will just go back across that. So for the Ag Service Board Chair, Klaus Vanderveen, the Audit Committee, Lauren Hickey, Tori Campbell, and John Kurbis. The Emergency Advisory Committee would be Mark, Morris, and Tori. And we will hold off on the labor relations.
Just for clarity, did we appoint the 2 voting members for the Ag Service Board?
We do not. I was leaving that for the external committees. Klaus?
Just a question. So why do we have the chairman elected under the internal committees, and why do we have the other 2 elected under the external committees? Maybe something for Jeremy.
Lynn?
Because the internal committee is the Ag Service Board itself, whereas the voting members go to another thing to vote. Like, everybody votes at Ag Service Board county level, but only 2 people can vote at a convention. That's why, because it's considered to be external.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so if everybody's comfortable with that, then I would entertain a motion to approve the internal committees as discussed. John? Okay, any discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Now we can move down, and we'll move down to ASB delegates with voting privileges. So previously we had 2 members and an alternate. Is there anyone at this time who would like to let their name stand? I'm assuming then that Klaus's name would carry down. Is that correct then? Sorry, Jeremy.
I just wanted to add and just kind of reinforce what Lauren said there as well. This is for, like, the internal ASB is Lethbridge County Ag Service Board.
Okay.
Versus these 2 voting delegates are for the Provincial Ag Service Board.
Okay.
Which meet about 4 times a year, or 3 to 4 times a year.
And I believe Councillor Reeve.
Morris? Okay. Lauren?
It's just been a mixed bag before. There's no carryover from the chair of Ag Service Board rolling down. It was just whoever did it.
Okay. Anyone else then? Okay. So we would have Morris, Lauren, and would alternate as well, yeah. Who would like to serve as an alternate?
And I will, because I think that's, being the chair of the Agriculture Service Board, I think that would probably be appropriate.
Okay.
I'd get involved.
Okay. So we will have Morris, Lauren, and Klaus as the alternate then. Moving down, Barons-Eureka-Warner Family and Community Support, FCSS, helping individuals, families, and communities, supports Lethbridge County, MD of Tabor, and Warner County, parent program, Parent Link, teen program, counseling, and seniors wellness. And this is vacant as Councillor Robert Horvath previously sat on this committee. Is there anyone at the table that would like to let their name stand for FCSS? Mark? Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move down to the Chinook Arch Library Board. Regional library system where residents can access library services from any of the participating municipalities, 39 in total. Lethbridge, Pitcher Butte, and Coldell being the largest in our area. I have sat on this board. I've enjoyed my time there. I would let my name stand. If someone else would like the opportunity, it is a very large board. There's north of 40 members on it. But I have enjoyed my time there. But like I say, if there's any interest from council, seeing none, I will let my name stand then. Coldell Chamber of Commerce. Coldell Chamber of Commerce is to improve the economic, industrial, and civic life of the community through the development and promotion of free enterprise. One member, and once again, this was previously occupied by Robert Horvath. Anybody interested in the Coldell Chamber of Commerce? Mark? I know this was something that Lauren and I did discuss this week. I think previously in the past we did see that there is value in having the councillor that touches or is closest to an urban, obviously maybe participating more in that particular urban. But as Lauren and I did discuss, I think there might be some value when we get down further into the IDPs. There may be some value in someone who is not necessarily directly associated, impacted with that community. It might help to educate that person on what's going on with that particular community, as well as bring a bit of a different voice and a different perspective to the table. So please don't feel that you have to serve in your direct community, but I do believe there's value. So just maybe a thought going forward. Okay. Community Futures Lethbridge Region. Lethbridge Region Community Futures is a nonprofit organization of business professionals and business consultants that help small rural businesses with financial grants. This was previously Steve Campbell's purview, so it is currently vacant. Do I have anyone interested in Community Futures Lethbridge? John? Anyone else? Okay. Any further interest? So seeing that we have two people that have put their names forward, we'll vote then, Larry?
I think so, Mr. Chairman, yes.
Thank you.
You want a secret ballot or you want?
I think everything is, yeah. Before we submit our votes, John, would you like to speak as to your interest in Community Futures Lethbridge?
My main interest in it is because I am a business person in the community, and my past community and committee involvement a lot of it has been revolved around helping the youth of the area and new startup businesses in terms of it just, making the road as easy as possible for them and helping them with the innovations that they may need to proceed and progress.
Thank you, John. Lauren?
Thank you, Chair. I think this has been an excellent committee, and they've done a lot of valuable work for not only the city of Lethbridge, but also for county residents, providing not only financial support, but leadership. And they have devoted a lot of time to making sure that when you have a business plan, it is correct, and they'll make every effort to aid you along to make sure you have a feasible and active business. So that would be my support for that committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, and I know Steve has spoken very highly of his time on this committee. I know it was one of his favorites, and he also echoed the sentiment, the value it brings to the community. Sorry. So, thank you both. Thanks, Larry. Thank you, Larry. So for the position of Community Futures Lethbridge Region, John, 4 votes, Lauren, 2. So John will sit on Community Futures Lethbridge Region. We'll go down to the next one, which is the County of Lethbridge Co-op Seed Cleaning Plant. Oh, sorry, thank you. Isn't seed cleaning plant? Oh, sorry, I must have a different list than you guys. I'm looking at a different list, sorry. Okay. Sorry, no, I was looking at the old committee list, sorry. We will do then the County Irrigation Committee / Alberta Irrigation Districts Association. And this had 2 members, and previously it was Morris Zeenstra and Claus van der Veen. Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to have my name stand for that one again, because I have a lot to do with irrigation over all the years, and it's very dear to me, and I think it's important for the county to have somebody known as see what's going on.
Thank you, Morris. Claus?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to let my name stand for that too, since, well, I am an irrigation farmer, and it's also very near to my heart, the whole irrigation stuff, and I think that the communication that we had in the last number of years had really improved with the irrigation districts, and I think that we should probably keep it that way, and I would like to be part of that.
Thank you, Claus. Would anyone else like to let their name stand? Seeing none, let's move forward with Morris and Claus. And now, let's attempt the County of Lethbridge Co-op Seed Cleaning Plant. 1 member. Most co-op seed cleaning plants in Alberta were built with 1/3 funding from the municipality, province, and members. Due to the municipal funding portion, the county has had a representative on the board. And as I said, this was previously Morris. Any interest in the County of Lethbridge Co-op Seed Cleaning Plant? Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I let my name stand for that one, because it's been always very important.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further interest, we'll put Morris in there. And we'll move down to 8, Economic Development Lethbridge, 1 member. EDL serves as stewards of the economic strategy for the city and area and ambassadors of those of the Choose Lethbridge brand, sorry. They connect, support, and promote the area as a place for enterprise, but also as a place where businesses and citizens can thrive. Economic Development Lethbridge, and that was previously Claus. Is there interest in this particular committee?
Just a question. It's a fairly heavy committee. Do they not need as a lot to go to Edmonton and they're working in the province? Is it?
There's two separate entities. There's Economic Development Lethbridge and there's Team Lethbridge, and it took us quite a few years to get on the Team Lethbridge. We've had some cursory discussions with the city about looking at more of a regional approach to economic development because there is some challenges, and this board is very large and unwieldy right now. But I think it's really important, whoever sits on this from the county, because I suspect there's going to be some changes moving forward in how we address economic development, so.
Claus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's probably be a good idea to have the person that's going to be on economic development, Lethbridge, that would probably combine the two, because Team Lethbridge and because there's so much going on already. Like, we have a monthly meetings every third Wednesday of the month, and that's early in the morning at 8 o'clock. And that, you know, with we, like Andrew said, we recently got onto Team Lethbridge, and that would include like a trip to Edmonton once a year. And we don't know how much, because we just became a member of that recently. So just for your information.
So do we have anyone that is willing to put their name forward then for Economic Development Lethbridge? Claus?
I would be willing to put my name forward, but if there's somebody else that you know, I would wouldn't mind that either.
Just a question, Claus, Mr. Chairman. How long have you been on now, Claus? Because you only have 3 or 4 years. You could stay on that board, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been on there from the beginning, 4 years, yeah.
You probably are going to be expired anyways there.
I don't know how that works.
Well, when I sat on it before, you had a term. It's either 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Then
I
they
thought
ask you
that
to
was
leave.
the terms. I know the terms on the executive. I know they are. There's a term on that one, but the rest of the board members, I'm not sure.
Yeah, they all have term. You have a limit, yeah.
Well, then it's probably maybe a good idea that we appoint somebody else right away, because then we don't have to do that after, for example, a year.
I would think that the critical nature of this, it might be important to have the Reeve on there. Just a suggestion, but.
I would be willing to let my name stand. But obviously, if there is other interest, I would defer to council. But if there is no interest, or if there is a potential conflict, then I would let my name stand. If that's, sorry, Mark.
I think that's good advice. I'm a little familiar with this group and know several of the people that are on it and what their operation, and so I think it's critical that we have strong representation, or good representation on the board.
Okay, I would, if that's if we're all agreeable, then I will put my name into that slot. Okay, Foothills Littlebow Municipal Association. A biannual meeting with 12 other rural municipalities where concerns and resolutions can be brought forward and supported to take to the RMA convention. 1 member, and previously that was Lorne.
So I will have to say this, I've been a director for a long time. We have never had a meeting other than our usual 2 a year. The directors never have meetings.
Okay. Would you like to stay in that position, Lauren, or would you?
That's a difficult one to fill, so if somebody else wants it. Nobody else did it.
Okay, why don't we proceed accordingly then? Next, we have the Green Acres Foundation. 1 member, Green Acres Foundation provides affordable, supportive housing to seniors of the Lethbridge County, the City of Lethbridge, and the towns of Pitcher Butte, Coaldale, and Colehurst, as well as the villages of Nobleford and Barons. Membership is comprised of 9 members appointed by the member municipalities who may be elected officials or citizens at large. This was previously held by Councillor Ken Benson. So maybe I don't want to put you on the spot, Anne, but I know that the county obviously does make a rather significant financial contribution on a per capita basis, I believe. Anything further you'd like to add?
No, but it is a fairly important, given the substantial amount that we contribute. Do you know that off the top, Jen? I'm putting Jen on the
I knew you
spot
were going to
now.
ask me, and I don't know off the top of my head, but
It is sizable.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it is, and it's a requisition, so we have to pay it regardless.
Legislated.
Yeah.
Okay. Morris, did you have your hand up?
No, that was gonna be my question.
Okay.
I can look it up quick.
Okay. Interest in sitting on the Green Acres Foundation. As I said, this was Canon, and obviously he has moved on.
I would be willing to try it.
Okay. Any other interest? If not, we will put Lauren into that. Moving down, 11. We have the Highway 3 Twinning Development Association, 1 member. Association promotes and advocates for the twinning of Highway 3 from the BC border to Highway 1. I did sit on this my first year on council. We had regular meetings, usually across the street in the Culver Room. Had presentations on usually linked to the economic spin-off potential of twinning the highway and other advocacy potential possibilities that were discussed at those meetings in my time. But Ken had been the last councillor to sit on that board. Klaus?
Yeah, I think a little bit of information on that. What do we bring to the table there, and the reasoning for I can kind of see because of the economic the development that could come out of that one. But is it necessary that we have a member on there? Because it's mostly going to be out of our county. It's not going to be within. Is that correct?
Anne and then Morris.
I do know that I did receive some correspondence again yesterday, and I did have a discussion with Reeve Campbell about this because I know it has come forward to council, and we've had a few discussions about the relevancy of this committee. But if council would like, this is another one that I would suggest we could table, and a report could come forward in a month. Because I think it seems that they're putting out new information about the committee. So I'm not sure that, I think it would be prudent if council had all of the facts in front of them before we appoint somebody to the committee, because the relevancy has come up quite a few times.
Okay. Morris and then Klaus?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just look at, the economic development, 1 member is on that already, and I think that's the person what maybe should sit on that Highway 3 twinning project.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
Thank you. Klaus?
Well, I think I'm going to table it. Suggest to table it till we get a report back from administration regarding what's all going on there.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to that effect, directing administration to bring us back that report then?
That is my motion. Yeah.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. So we will address that at a later date then. Okay. Now we move down into the intermunicipal committees. And first off,
Reeve Campbell, can I
Yes, you may.
speak this too? We've had some success working with our counterparts across the street, and at a recent leadership meeting, administration to administration meeting, we discovered that this committee, although there were 3 appointees from the city, 3 appointees from the county, this committee did not meet over the past year. But It is a critical committee. The terms of reference state that the 3 members from either side, city and county, meet the second Thursday or the 4th Thursday of every month. And given the fact that it's really critically important that we work with the counterparts at the city, I think this committee may be the vehicle that we do that.
Okay. Previously, Lauren Hickey, Ken Benson, and Robert Horvath were on this committee. Lauren, would you like to remain? Okay. I would put my name forward. I would like that opportunity to work with our neighbors across the street. Does anyone else have interest? John? Okay. If that is acceptable, we'll move forward then. Town of Coaldale. 3 members as well. Discuss intermunicipal issues with the Town of Coaldale at a committee level. Previously, Lauren, myself, and Bob sat on this committee. Lauren, would you like to remain?
I would just assume not, but if you could find somebody else.
Okay. Interest from the rest of council. Mark? I would let my name stand on this one as well. Any other interest? Lauren, would you be all right then? Okay. Okay, so Mark, myself, and Lauren for the Town of Coaldale. Moving down to the next one, Colehurst, Ken Benson, Steve Campbell, and Claus Vanderveen previously sat. Claus, would you like to remain?
Yes.
Okay. Interest from the table? John? And do we have a third member willing to sit on the Colehurst Intermunicipal Committee? Morris?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to have my name stand on that one, and what I'm looking at down there, if the person from the Nobleford gets elected, and
Yep.
then maybe I would step aside and have that person there, because I think Nobleford and Colehurst have a pretty close interest with each other.
Okay, I would agree.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Next is the Nobleford Intermunicipal Committee. That was Steve, Claus, and Morris. Again, Claus, would you like to stay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Morris?
Yes.
Okay, and do we have any other interest? John? Yes. Okay. Pitcher Butte next. That was Steve, Claus, and Morris. I'll start with Claus again. Claus?
Yes.
Okay. Morris?
Yes.
Okay. And do we have interest from a third for the Pitcher Butte Intermunicipal Committee?
Pitcher Butte area is a very interesting area. There is very colorful people in the area down there, so I recommend for any of the rest of you guys, any of you, step up to that plate and
John? Well, luckily you have one of the most colorful people joining you on that committee with Mr. Zeenstra, so. Okay, so that was Claus, Morris, and John. Moving down to Barons. That is number 17 on our list, the Village of Barons. And that was just Councillor Steve Campbell that was previously in that role.
okay, yeah.
Morris?
I'd like to have my name stand for that one,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other interest? Seeing none, we'll leave Morris in that role then. Moving down, next we have Lethbridge and District Exhibition Park. This is one member. Exhibition Park, also known as Lethbridge and District Exhibition, is the fourth oldest agricultural society in Alberta that has hosted more than a century of agriculture, trade shows, midways, rodeos, sporting events, and numerous special events. Exhibition Park is governed by a board of directors representing members of the community. And previously that was Steve Campbell that sat on Exhibition Park. Claus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Because I understand that Mark is on the board of, so is it necessary for us to have one from the county represent, or could Mark do both of them? Just wanted to ask that question.
Anne, do you want to go first, or should Mark?
Well, it depends what hat Mark is currently wearing on the board. How is he sitting on the board? We still need somebody to represent the county.
Mark?
So, right, so I'm an elected director on the board. I chair the governance committee. I think it would be add great value to this council to have another advocate, well, another representative to sit on the board. It worked well with Steve. Steve and I wasn't on council at the time, but we both were advocating for agriculture, and I think that's huge. So my recommendation would be, I'd thought about this when I came on, that I could just slide over and be that, but I think if somebody could do that, I talked briefly to Tori about it, and you know, if we can get those younger faces and somebody on that, in that spot, it would be great. It's a commitment. There's work to be done with it, and there's governance training that's come along that we've just initiated too. So it's a busy board, but I think it'd be add great value to this council to have both.
I know Steve, Steve also spoke very highly of his time on the exhibition board. As you alluded to, I think obviously challenging, but I mean, there is a lot of exciting things going on at Exhibition Park. That in conjunction with, like you said, I know the governance is handled a little bit differently, and it does require a little bit more attention, but I would echo your sentiment, Mark. I think it is important that we have some good representation there. Do we have any interest from council for that one position then?
I'd like to ask a question to Mark for a minute. The person from the county what's going to be appointed to the sit on the board, is that appointee going to be able to vote? Because there were some controversial issues there before. I have been on the board, and I was led to believe that time that I couldn't vote, and Georgina, she was the chairperson then, and it became quite a roundtable discussion down there, and finally they agreed. He says, yes, even if it's an appointee, you can vote. Yeah, but it has been, it still is, I believe, somewhat controversial.
No, not at all. We expect that my comment when I came on the board was, if you're here, you should be able to vote. Like, you're not just filling a chair, you're serving a role. So that person votes, and also they can sit on committees if they wish. There's no pressure for them to sit on committees, but they're available. Steve did sit on the governance committee, I think, or ownership engagement was the committee. So that you're not pressured to do that, but you absolutely are a voting member, a director. The city currently doesn't have they pulled their spot off, their appointment last year. So we'll see with the new county that I suspect I won't speak for them, but I would hope that they would put somebody back on. Yep.
Interest from council on filling that vacant position, Lethbridge and District Exhibition Park Board? Yes, Morris?
Question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Morris?
They have once a month a meeting?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's usually evening meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know Steve had spoken to me about this, and as Mark alluded to, we did have a discussion. If there is no interest from the table, I would be willing to let my name stand. Having said that, fully cognizant of all the workload that we all have. So if someone else is interested, I would defer. But having said that, I would let my name stand. Okay. All right. Moving down, Lethbridge Regional Waste Management Services Commission, 2 members. To establish a regional solid waste system in an effort to minimize potential damage to the environment from improper refuse disposal. That's quite the description. Claus and I have both, I believe, before 4 years, I believe, Claus? Yeah, we served the last term on there. I would be more than willing to let someone else fill that role. Not that I didn't enjoy my time there. Obviously, a core, service that the county has decided to provide to its residents in partnership with these other member communities. Klaus did chair this for my time. Would you like to add anything, Klaus?
No, I think it's we in the past when we got on, Tori. I think there was some some stuff going on that people didn't agree with each other on a lot of things. But I think that in the time that we've been on, I think we had a good friendship with the people that were there, and I think that And with that said, I would like to leave my name on that one.
And it is not overly cumbersome. 3 meetings?
3-4 meetings.
Yeah, 3-4 meetings a year, and usually within an hour and a half kind of thing. Met when it is permissible to meet in public. We were meeting here at this table. Zoom, obviously, more recently. Is there anyone interested in filling vacancy alongside Claus? Mark, and then. And the results are in. John? Okay, John? So for the Lethbridge Regional Waste Management Services Commission, Claus and John. And then we will shift down to the Lethbridge Regional Water Commission. That was myself and Robert. To provide water services outside of city limits. City only wanted to deal with one customer, therefore the commission was formed. So as I alluded to, Bob and I did sit on this. I sat on it for the 4 years. Once again, extremely straightforward. The crux is the pipeline from Lethbridge to Coldell to the McCain's plant. The city of Lethbridge sells water. The commission purchases the water, resells the water to the town of Coldell, McCain's. There is, obviously aspects of the pipeline itself, its initial cost, debenture associated with that, collecting enough revenue to make sure that we can continue to maintain and replace that. Jeremy, is there anything you'd like to add further to that? Like I said, relatively straightforward. Town of Coldell sits on it with us. The chair would alternate between Lethbridge County and the town of Coldell chairing, with the vice chair usually being from the opposite municipality, obviously.
Fairly straightforward. Very similar to the Regional Waste Commission. There's two meetings per year, typically. So very straightforward.
We we would meet here at the office as well, usually in Commerce, usually a lunch meeting, but as like I said, we had Zoom the last few, or Teams, because of the pandemic. I would also encourage someone else other than me to step forward for this. Like I said, pretty straightforward, but it is nice to, and it is an opportunity to work with members from the town of Coldell, and I think my relationship with the councillors from Coldell is better for sitting on it in that regard. So I would encourage anyone who has interest in that to put their name forward.
I have a question.
Yes, John?
So when you're talking about the pipeline to Cold Hill, is this strictly just that, or because there is a water pipeline that's going out towards Monarch as well, was that part of that same situation, or is that a different organization?
That's a different, that's completely county run. That's not part of the Regional Water Services Commission is basically with Lethbridge County and Coaldale. Everything that goes in the north portion of the county, as well as the regional line that we have that goes through Picture Butte, and the one that goes through Colehurst, then to Monarch, is essentially all county infrastructure.
Mark? And do we have a second?
Just as a heads up, the last meeting took 20 minutes.
It is relatively straightforward. We have, our staff internally at the county here, Chandra and Jen and her team prepare the financials. Once again, extremely straightforward. We go through the financials, do anything in that regard. John? Okay, thank you, John. Okay, so for Lethbridge Regional Water Commission, we have Mark and John. The Malloy Drain Steering Committee, 2 members, formed as a result of the need from the town of Coaldale, Lethbridge County, and SMRID to address the drainage issues within the Malloy drainage basin. And that was myself and Bob Horvath sat on that. And as Lauren had spoke earlier, I never formally met my 4 years on council with the Malloy Drain Steering Committee. Obviously, a lot of the heavy lifting took place prior to my time on county council. I know there is potential down the road for further work, further phases. Anne?
While I do think it would be prudent to appoint somebody today, we do need more information about where the committee stands and what phases they're at, and we should bring that forward to council. So I do think that we need to look into that further. I believe we're on phase 2B right now, so.
Would you like to see this filled today, or would you like to proceed as we have with the other committees in that we bring back a report and
I'd like to bring back a report just so that council can have a more robust information.
Okay.
Make a decision.
If that is, if council is agreeable to that, then I would entertain a motion to do just that and have this brought forward at a future meeting. Morris? Thank you, Morris. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Old Man River Regional Services Commission, 1 member, provides municipal planning, assessment, GIS, and subdivision services to its members. And that was previously Morris Zeenstra. Morris, would you like to continue on in that role, or would you like to see that someone else fill that?
Well, May, Mr. Chairman?
Of course.
I'm not sure who calls the meetings, because I haven't seen any meetings, but the Old Man River Regional Service Commission is, it's dear to me, but I'm not sure who's heading that commission.
I can answer that. I had a rather lengthy discussion with Lenz, and I won't pronounce his last name properly.
Capers.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
This week, and all of the meetings, they've all been done by Zoom, and the minutes have been going out, so I'm not sure when the last meeting it was Councillor Zeenstra, but it does get, the information gets sent out, agenda packages and whatnot from ORSC itself and their administrative team.
Well, I'll let my name stand, but if somebody else thinks they can be great input to that organization, then do so. But other than that, I'll let my name stand.
Okay. Okay, if we're agreeable, then we'll leave Morris there then, and maybe get some clarity for you to make sure that you're being properly connected. Claus?
I got a question on ORSC. This is an outside business that we use as a county. Is it necessary that we use that as a county? Could our development people, staff at the county do the same work? And could we save ourselves a lot of money with doing that? Just
Morris and then Ann.
Yeah, I still think you have to have a council member down there. You know, I know staff, they probably do 99% of the legwork down there, but it's good to have at least a council member down there.
Sorry, Morris, that was actually not my question. My question was, do we need ORSC for like all the development stuff that's going on in the county, or can our staff from the county do the work themselves?
Well,
that was actually my question.
I'll let Ann and then Morris.
That's something that I've been reviewing internally, and we need to do an actual business case study. It's a lot more complicated than just a contracted service. We are actually one of the member municipalities of ORSC, and there's 40 of them. So a more formal business case study needs to be done and brought back to council. Do we have the capacity in-house to do it? Can we pull some of the services out, or will they? My understanding is that you're either in or you're out. So you can't just say we'd like you to do this piece and not this piece. So we certainly need to do a more in-depth report and bring it back to council. But I am in the process of that, but it may take me a month or two.
Yeah.
Morris?
I think that's a total different question that got nothing to do with anything today to have a member sitting down there, but that is for something to look into in the future. I got my personal view on that, and we'll leave it at that, and we're going to bring that up when it comes up.
Okay, but you're good to leave your name stand then, Morris. Okay.
Please do so, yeah.
Okay, we'll proceed accordingly then. Moving down, number 23. Pitcher Butte Chamber of Commerce, 1 member, promote economic development, formulate a strong collective voice to promote the goods and services of Pitcher Butte, amplify the business voice within the community and beyond. And that was also previously Morris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I've probably been a member of the Chamber of Commerce of Pitcher Butte probably for 45 years, and it's I've hardly ever missed a meeting, and I still would like to represent the county on that end of it.
Thank you, Morris. Any other interest? Seeing none. Morris, thank you. And now moving down to number 24, the Southern Alberta Energy from Waste Association. This is 1 member. SEWA is a coalition of waste management jurisdictions with an interest in implementing technologies to recover energy from residual waste and long-term reliance on landfill disposal. I know we've, over my term on council, we've had several lengthy discussions on SEWA. We've been fortunate to have them present to us several times. Claus, I know you've served as our representative. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the SEWA, the board right now, it looks like there's quite a few people that did not continue on serving for their MD or council. So we and 2 of the members got voted out. They would not be serving there anymore. So in total, we have 6 members that will not be there anymore. So that leaves us with it's a 12-member board. Leaves us with 6 people. So, and we're nearing the end of our accomplishments, and we're really excited about moving forward and getting the shovel in the ground. And we had expression of interest, so we have that all done. We have 3 very big interest, like people that have built these things before and people that have run these things before. So we are in the process of picking one in, I think it is November, with our organizational meeting there. And, you know, like I said, we are nearing the end because it's been a process of 10, 11 years already, I think, in total. And, you know, there's a lot of work being put in there, and with that, there's so many people leaving, I would really appreciate to have my name stand, that I can continue with the SAWA.
Thank you, Klaus. Any further comments or any interest from any other members of council? Seeing none, Klaus, we will continue with you in that role. Southgrow Regional Initiative, Anne, I know you had wanted to touch on this.
Can you do me a favor and just read out the description first, if you wouldn't mind?
Economic Development Alliance of multiple communities committed to working together to achieve prosperity for the region.
Okay, thank you. There is some concerns from some of our neighboring rural counties about staying in Southgrow and the value of Southgrow, specifically because their fees will be doubled this year, starting in 2022. So we will bring a report forward. I do think, though, we should appoint somebody in the meantime and then have a discussion of council whether we want to stay in Southgrow, given that they're doubling their fees. It is still a moderate amount of fee, I believe. So.
Discussion from council. How would you like to proceed? Claus?
Well, seeing the concerns that were brought forward, maybe we should just hold off on this one till that we have more information from administration. So I'll move that.
Okay, as we have done with several other committees, we have a motion on the floor to bring back further information bring back further information from administration at a later date regarding our membership on the Southgrow Regional Initiative. Any further discussion? I will call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Number 26, we have the Southern Regional Stormwater Drainage Committee, 1 member plus alternate, to develop a long-term solution to the major flood events and stormwater runoff events that have happened in the area. I did serve this last term as the appointee to the Southern Regional Stormwater Drainage Committee. So it is a combination of representation from St. Mary's as well as the Tabor Irrigation District, the MD of Tabor, ourselves at Lethbridge County, and then I guess if you kind of can imagine in your mind's eye traveling from the city easterly, a majority of the municipalities along the way that follow the St. Mary's main canal and the river as it flows east. There is also a technical committee which is comprised of administration. I believe Devon has and continues to serve in that role. We have met rather loosely. It hasn't been regular meetings per se. When we meet in person, it has been at the MD of Tabor's office. I think as it kind of speaks to, several years ago, we obviously had a very challenging spring with the amount of ice and snow that was on the ground. A rapid temperature shift led to some rapid melting, and the main canal was overwhelmed. And as a result, there was obviously us in the county. We were fortunate. We did not get the brunt of it, but further east, our neighboring municipalities had obviously had to invest heavily to try and stay ahead of the ice in the canals as it jammed and caused overland flooding and damage to the SMRID, TID infrastructure. So this group did loosely exist before that incident, but obviously that was something that was galvanizing. And so we have worked to secure funding from the federal and provincial governments to initiate a plan with several phases to add a release valve, I guess you could say, to the main canal to allow water to go off through the Horsefly Spillway project, which would, as I say, act as a valve for the main canal to spill into the Old Man River and divert some of those flows. There are further phases, all obviously connected to availability of funds and how we proceed. The county has committed to some to fund the first portion. It has been challenging trying to communicate what the committee sees as value in this to our neighbors. Obviously, a breach in the main canal would be devastating for the region. The value that irrigation brings is tremendous. So I've always kind of looked at it from that perspective. We need to make sure that we're protecting that. I know there has been back and forth as to what level we commit ourselves to that, and we have had that discussion as a council. I've enjoyed my time on the committee. I know they do have a desire to formalize and create a permanent home for them with possibly permanent staff or staff singular, I suppose, or maybe more than that, but to kind of maybe take some of that burden away from the MD of Tabor that is currently acting as the key administrator throughout this. So that is an ongoing conversation we're having. Jeremy, Devin, would you like to add anything further from your perspective?
This is a huge regional project. The economic benefits to the area of protecting our infrastructure, especially in this case, the main irrigation canal, as well as this ties into protecting lots of other municipal infrastructure as well. It is a daunting in size, especially with the multiple stages and phases that this has potentially been proposed, but it is a very good indication that the support that the federal government and the provincial government has put towards funding this project. I think it's a 73% grant funding, so 27% goes back to the municipalities. So I think the project is a very large benefit to this area, because it's not a question of necessarily when this infrastructure will be threatened. It's just a question of how bad is the outcome going to be. There was, just as a small analysis piece, I dealt with a similar discussion points with the Bow River Irrigation District when we did a drop structure in conjunction with them, and they were very close to a failure point on that as well, and they estimated the economic fallout of not having that or having that drop structure fail was in the $400 million range to the local economy.
Just for the new members of council.
Well, this county council has already committed, what's the amount, Devin?
Just under $1 million so far.
So far to this project, so.
If I can add one thing, it is a fairly long-term project. We're in the middle of doing some consultation for the first phase of this project. There's many steps, there's many federal hoops to jump through. There could be the possibility of environmental impact assessment, which is a 3-year-ish process just for this one phase of the project, and there's multiple phases, so this project could span decades into the future, so just wanted to make you aware of it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I would echo, I obviously see a lot of value in what they're doing, and I think, it is an opportunity for us to act regionally, work with our neighbors, and I do see it as a jumping off point as well to do some other things. And if we can continue to collaborate on this, I do see great potential. Like I said, I have enjoyed my time, but I would be more than willing to step back if there is interest at the table. So having said that, does anyone have interest?
I got a question.
Klaus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Has the city of Lethbridge come on board? Because I think in the past we've tried to get them on board because we thought that it was really, really important that the city would come there too and put their 2 bits in and put enough funding in there for the project, because the city is going to be benefiting from this project too. So I'm just wondering.
I'll let Anne and then Devin, please.
We have attempted that on several occasions. There wasn't really the political will at the time, but now that there's some change across the street, we will attempt again. And perhaps the new Reeve can talk to the new mayor.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think there is a lot of potential to make that connection, and to involve them. I think there was some hesitation in the past from the previous administration, but I think it is also incumbent upon us to make a good case. And I think when you lay out the facts, as Jeremy alluded to, I think there is a really strong business case for all the municipalities in the region to at least entertain having listened to us and consider the potential that we have. Devin, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna basically say the exact same thing as Ann. In the past, the committee couldn't even get the cities here to even discuss the project, so I'm hoping with the change over there, the committee can at least have a discussion with them and discuss the project.
Thank you. Like I said, it was myself with Claus as the alternate. Is there interest at the table? If not, I would be willing to continue in that role. Like I said, it wasn't overly cumbersome in a time commitment way, so I would be comfortable continuing on for the next year. All right, and
Alternate too for this?
thank you. Claus, would you like to remain in that role as alternate?
I would like to ask Mark if he would want to do that,
Okay.
since he lives in that area.
Okay. So myself and the alternate as Mark Sayers. And I believe that is all for now for that, for our external committees. So if everyone is comfortable with how we have allotted those various committees to this point, I would entertain a resolution to confirm the results of the council committee appointments.
Okay. We just have to appoint them first, so right
Oh,
after
sorry.
26, there is a resolution. I know it seems like it's a lot of repetition, but we have to do that the following council members be appointed, and then resolution of confirming the results of the council appointments. I'm not sure why we have to do that twice.
Sorry, Ann, I don't have that in front
Okay.
of me.
Does that make sense?
Not really, no. So you'd like two separate motions?
I guess this is just to approve this, and then the resolution is the results of your election.
Okay.
Candace knows the answer. The first motion is appointing them to the external committees. The second one confirming them, it would be for both internal and external.
I gotcha.
Okay.
See,
So is
Good.
there, having heard that, is there someone willing to move the first resolution as Candace outlined? Sorry, Morris?
Yeah, I'll move so.
Thank you, Morris. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. And then we will require a second motion to confirm the results of the council committee appointments for the 21-22 year. Candace, is there anything further you need in that? Okay. Is anyone willing to make that motion? Thank you, Claus. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Moving down, I on our agenda, appointment of officials. Axe Appeal Committee, Soil Conservation, Weed and Pest Control Appeal Committee, 4 members at large. County Council appoint the following members at large to the Axe Appeal Committee, Soil Conservation, Weed and Pest Control Appeal Committee, Wilf Schulten, Brian Harbers, Rob Van Diemen for the 21-22 year. Jeremy? Or Candace, sorry. Okay. Jeremy?
That was just confirming that. Those were the 4. We need to have 4 members at large.
Okay, sorry, I didn't have that on the screen, but the 4th member is Steve Campbell. So Wilf, Brian, Rob, Steve Campbell for the 21-22 year. clause.
Just a question for staff. Have these people been approached for this coming year? Okay, thank you.
John?
Just for the benefit for the two new guys that are on the council here, could you elaborate a little bit about what that is about? Someone?
Jeremy?
So for the appeal committee, if we have to issue weed notices or soil conservation notifications, there is an appeal process that essentially goes through that if somebody does receive one of these notices, there does become a point in which we have to enforce that and then go in and charge or do the work ourselves or contract someone to come in and do the work themselves. And whoever the resident or stakeholder is essentially at that point is eligible to appeal that based on whatever circumstances. So in the case of the appeal board, we have 4 at-large members that are outside of council because it is a financial deliberation piece. Now, on the actual appeal, if the appeal board is called in, it is only 3 people that will stand on that. The 4th person is essentially just on a rotate. It's a rotational appeal board portion. We haven't had an appeal board hearing for several years. With that being said, though, we do have a couple weed notices that are out there. And soil conservation, I'm sure, as you're all well aware, as you've seen the blowing soil that we had this spring, there is a potential that we might have more of those concerns coming forward as well.
You can come pick it up out of my ditch.
Okay, so I'm going to try this again without butchering it this time. The recommended motion would be that County Council appoint the following members at large to the Acts Appeal Committee: Soil Conservation, Weed and Pest Control Appeal Committee, Wilf Schulten, Brian Harbers, Rob Van Diemen, and Steve Campbell for the 21-22 year. Would there be interest from someone at the table to make that motion? Morris?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Chairman, since these people all have been approached and you're willing to let the name stand, I move that we appoint those 4.
Thank you, Morris. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Okay, and if there is nothing further, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this organizational meeting. Morris?
And just a suggestion too, lunch will be here at 11:50,
Okay.
and it'll be served downstairs in Coyote Flats. And so just a suggestion of what time will we be coming back.
What is the wish of council? Would we like